and welcome into Rebecca K Crochet. This morning what we are going to do is make a pot holder handle so that we don't have to go and grab a hot pad every time that we want to grab our skillet. And this is for a cast iron skillet, so the handles get really hot. What you're going to need is your 100% cotton yarn. I'm using a scrap, peaches and cream. You're going to need a darning needle and scissors, and I am using a 5.5 millimeter hook. You can go a little bit smaller if you don't want any holes in there. I would go smaller with the hook because the peaches and cream calls for a 5 millimeter, but I think this is plenty good for what I'm using this for. So let's get started. Okay, so what I'm going to use this morning is peaches and cream, and it is a 4-weight. It calls for a 5 millimeter hook. I'll be using a 5.5. I do crochet tight. This, whenever I'm just using a scrap, but it usually has approximately 95 yards in it, and it is 100% cotton, and you do need to use 100% cotton for this type of a hot pad, I guess is what you would call it, a handle hot pad, because if you don't, acrylic will melt. So, and I don't normally use even a cotton blend for this because I'm afraid it's going to melt and stick to my handle. So what you're going to do is start with a slip knot. We're going to chain 4. We are going to go back in that first chain that we did, and we're going to create a circle. I can get into that first chain. We're going to put our finger down here so that we can open up that circle, chain 2, and we're going to do double crochets. We're going to do 8 double crochets, or a total of 8. This counts as the first one. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whoops, 6, and I am working over my tail, 7, 8, I'm going to pull that tail snug, look and see if we need to go more. Yeah, we're going to do 12, 9, 10, 11, and 12. We're going to go in this first stitch with a slip stitch. And I'm going to do a single crochet to make it. Okay, whenever we have our first round done with 12, what we are going to do is we slip stitch, and then we are going to go in the back loop only to turn it with a half double crochet. You want to do a half double or a single crochet all the way around from now on to keep your stitches snug. You don't want to do a double crochet or a treble crochet because that is going to create gaps and holes in your stitches, and you'll burn your fingers. So, because this is going to be on a hot pan. You do need to use 100% cotton, like I said before, because anything else is going to melt. And we are working in the back loop only, and we are not increasing. So this is going to curl in on itself. Pretty good. I'm going to curl it out, and there's the first stitch, and so we are going to slip stitch into this stitch right here, And now we are going to chain 1 and go back in. That chain 1 does not count. Go back in, and we are just going to do this all the way around with half double crochets, not increasing, until we get as long as we need this to be, which is usually between 4 and 6 inches, depending on the size of the skillet. Like mine is a 12-inch skillet, so I'll probably need a 6-inch handle cover. And if you've got a wider handle and you're not using it for cast iron, say you have a stainless steel handle that you need to cover, you just do the same thing around. And you can, like right here, you can slip stitch, chain 1, and go back into that stitch again, or you can just do it in a spiral where you just step up each round. I do both. And so your circle is just going to be 12 stitches around all the time while you're doing this. And my cat is getting ready, or she's talking to her baby in there, so she's next to me up here. She's in a box with her baby. And slip stitch in here, chain 1, go back down that same stitch, if I can get it in there. And this is what you should be looking like. And you're just going around and around. And I'll be back that's all we're doing, is going around and around and creating this little tube. And I'll be back in just a second when I get it done. One thing I wanted to show you was make sure that you're not going into this first one right here, that you're going into this stitch, because if you go into that very first stitch, that is your chain 1, and you will add stitches, and that's really, really easy to do. So if you do add a stitch, you can just do a decrease if you need to. This is just something that, you know, if you're not going to sell one of these, if you are just making it for yourself, you can just do a decrease. But make sure you count your stitches and you only want 12 all the way around. Now, if you're going in the round and just spiraling it, it looks different, but you can spiral it up. You don't have to count your stitches normally. You're just going around in every stitch. I just decided not to spiral it this time. My yarn fell on the floor. I will see you at the end, and I have slip stitched, and now I'm going to fasten off. So I'm going to cut my work, and I am going to snug this down. Cotton is a little bit harder to snug down. I'm going to turn this wrong side out to weave in my ends. You don't have to if you don't want to. You can just leave it like it was, because it is going to be difficult to get it turned right side out. And I'm going to weave in this end right here. And then this is what you'll be left with. And I will show it to you on the handle. And I'll be right back. I wove in the bottom end, and now I'm going to weave in this top end. I thought I'd show you on camera. It's the same as always, you got to snug that down. We're going to go back down over here, and we're going to go down into, come out this stitch right over here. We're going to go across this way, and we're going to go weave into these ends where we're attaching it to our row down below. We're going to come up, we came out right here, we're going to come up right here on this bar, skip that, and go back into these under here. And pull it through, and I did the same thing on the other side. Cut our work, and I will show you what it looks like on the skillet. Okay, there it is on my handle. It could be smaller, shorter, like that. So I'll be back. So on this, I did 14 rows of half double crochets, and I could have gotten by with about 10 rows of half double crochets because it was hanging off about that much. So I could have knocked down 3 rows and still been fine. But as long as my hand can go around it and it's on my, you know, my cast iron, I'm good with that. So that's how you do it. Like, subscribe, and do all that kind of stuff. Share it with a friend if you want to. And I hope you make lots of these. Have a great day.